Well, the UK has given emergency approval to the new Covid-19 vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. The UK has had the deadliest outbreak in Europe so far, and the move will make Britain one of the first countries to begin vaccinations. British media is saying hospitals in England have been told to get ready to start vaccinating medical workers as early as next week.
Separate teams have been working in parallel to deliver the most rigorous review of this vaccine. No corners have been cut.
Well, other countries aren't far behind the UK. The European Union is also vetting new vaccines. December 29th, though, is the key date for the EU. That will be when Europe's top drug agency will decide whether or not to approve the rollout of vaccines developed by both Pfizer and Moderna. Well, to talk a bit more about the situation in the EU, let's bring in Dave Keating in Brussels. Dave, first of all, what's been reaction around Europe to this move from the European Medicines Agency on setting this date for approval at the end of the month?
Well, it's noticeable that the EU's schedule here is much slower than the schedule in the UK and the US. Yesterday, the EMA announced that December 29th day as the first possible day that they could approve the Pfizer vaccine, and then January 12th or 13th as the first possible day that they could approve the Moderna vaccine. That's not so much off from what they originally said, but it had been expected that they might speed up the schedule for approval because they have been under intense pressure from politicians and businesses to speed up that timeline. Yesterday, when they came out with that announcement, it was them saying, we will not be rushed through political or business pressure. So yesterday it was a bit unclear. How will people react to the fact that here in continental Europe, we're going to be getting our vaccines later than in the US and UK? Will people be reassured by the fact that the EMA says it's going to be conducting a full, thorough review and won't be rushed? Or will people be angry and impatient to get their vaccines? I have to say, from the media reaction I've seen around Europe and kind of activity on social media, I would say it's more in the latter category. A lot of people are quite angry at the slower timeline that Europe is operating under. It's hard to say who's going to be proven right here, because of course if there were problems in the initial weeks of the vaccine, the EU won't experience those problems because they won't have been distributing it yet and will have been able to react to that. Of course, if it all goes smoothly and there's no problems, then if Europe is a couple weeks behind the rest in terms of its economic recovery, people could get angry. I mean, businesses across Europe, like here in Brussels at Manneken-Pis, the main tourist site of Brussels, are still shuttered and they're waiting for vaccines to be available so that people can start going out again. So it could be that people get increasingly restless over the next weeks.
So, Dave, why is the European Union choosing to move so much more cautiously here than the UK, for example?
There is a lot of concern about vaccine skepticism, not just from anti-vaxxers who don't want to take any vaccine, but also people who are just worried about being in the first wave of a vaccine, who don't want to be among the first people to take it, who would feel more comfortable having the vaccine be out in the market for a couple months so they can make sure that there's no side effects. EU prime ministers and presidents discussed this at a video summit a couple weeks ago, and they devised a strategy of communication to reassure the public. And part of that is reassuring them that they won't put out any vaccine on the market until it's been surely demonstrated safe. This was a big refrain from European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in the past month. She kept saying this repeatedly. The EU will not put a vaccine on the market until they're sure it's safe. At the same time she was saying that, of course, you had US President Donald Trump saying that a vaccine was imminent and really giving the impression that he was putting pressure on the regulatory authorities in the US to authorize a vaccine earlier than would be prudent. So the EU's line has really been to reassure people here, because EU leaders say, look, if people have any doubt about the safety of this vaccine, they won't take it. So another couple weeks to make sure that everything's safe and to reassure the public is worth it if it then means that more people feel safe enough to take the vaccine in the first half of 2021.
Dave, thanks for that. France 24's Dave Keating there reporting from Brussels.